What is going on, Ravens flock, and welcome back here again to another episode of the Ravens Way podcast. Joining me, as always, is Boss and uh, guest Alec over at One Winning Pod. How we doing tonight, Alec? How we feeling?
Life's good, man. Happy to be here. Enjoy the show. Been watching it most weeks, and happy to be a part of it. Yeah, it's like I like the format with the props at the end too. Get a little spicy there.
There we go. Thank you for joining us, Alec. What do you have you outnumbered tonight, Gary? 2-1, Greeks versus Gentiles, I guess. So you're in trouble. but yeah, really, thank you for joining us at One Winning Pod. You guys do a really good job over there. Always enjoy your content. We want to take a look back at the Week 8 game against Arizona before we look forward and also touch on the trade deadline. I kind of have one takeaway on offense and one on defense from the Arizona game. You know, we got a little time to digest it here. Alec, you want to tee us off here? Let's, got to look back before you look forward.
Sure. Well, I think one of the big storylines from the offensive side of the ball is that we're definitely trying to make things happen with Odell. It's been half the season. We haven't been able to get him in the end zone yet. And we're definitely trying to make it happen. Lamar even talked about it in the presser. And my number one takeaway from it all is that I think in order to get Odell going, you got to get Bateman going. Because I think Bateman's closer to that breakout, and then he'll take, more eyes away from Odell, and then Odell will be able to work. I think it's unfortunate what's going on with Odell. There's some times where he's covered really well. He's not getting separation, but other times that I think, he's there, but then he gets fouled. It seems like these corners really want to make sure he doesn't get the touches, even though he has good opportunities. So
drawing attention, though, at least. Not to interrupt, but drawing attention at least. People doubted, and honestly, what we were saying 2 years ago was just somebody draws attention. Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, it's 100% true, man. And I think he's definitely I think he's right around my expectations, frankly. It's just that he's not getting any actual catches. He's just getting a lot of penalties that don't show up in the counting box score.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway for that game was that the 2021 class is really ready to explode. Those first three picks, those Oweh, Bateman, and Stevens, I think those guys are all playing good football, and the stats will come as the season goes on. But I feel good about those three. I feel good about the defense and where it's at. They did let up, quote unquote, 24 points, but it was a weird game. I just hope that this offense and some of the concerns I have with it eventually get ironed out. And they aren't major concerns, but they're very minor concerns that could end up biting us a couple weeks down the road. But overall, I feel good.
Yeah, I agree. Well, take away on offense, they could still pound the ball with Gus where they need to. I think that was good to see. You got to be able to finish games on offense. Sometimes defenses are going to finish games like it used to in the NFL a decade ago. Second toughest schedule remaining. So that's out there in a big way. Tough test this week, I think, but we'll get to that. We'll circle back to that later. I agree with Alec. You got to get Bateman involved. You got to get OBJ involved. You got to find some more consistency on offense. Flip it over to the defensive side of the ball. Alec, what's any primary takeaways from the Week 8? It was kind of a meh win, but, we'll take the win.
Yeah, it was. It's a little bit of a bummer the way they were able to score those points at the end. I think it would feel a lot better if they don't score 17 in the fourth quarter. But honestly, we were playing the game. I was saying on the show, it was one of the first times in a while we've seen the defense take the low poker gambles and being we're not going to let them win this game. We're going to let them take time off the clock, long drives, and we might give up a touchdown, but they ain't going to have enough time to actually go ahead and win it. They kind of felt like the way they were going, they just didn't want to, do what they did against the Steelers, where they blitzed them, get a quick, score, and then have the opportunity to come back. I think the number one thing I'll say is the ball hawk is continuing. Geno Stone and Brandon Stevens both being there, and like you mentioned, Yuri, this class is exploding. 2021. Geno Stone was a part of the 2020 draft class, last pick in that draft class. So it's cool seeing how long. Well, I think we're getting more and more instant gratification, mostly because of these stupid wide receivers. You draft these rookie wide receivers that are like studs by end of year one, and then year two have breakouts, and it's I think spoiling us for the other position groups where traditionally it takes 2 to 3 years. Like it's not, it wasn't. It was common knowledge that 2 to 3 years is what it took to get like the peak value out of these guys and like really show what their potential is. But then we get like we're like, oh, Matabike didn't break out year two, bust. Not a bust. Like, kind of things like that. So I think we're seeing how the patience with these picks is really starting to pay off.
Absolutely, Yuri.
Yeah, defensively, to Alex's point, Odafe Owe really does look just right there. He's always been almost Owe. The whole he doesn't wrap up and whatever, and he's always almost there. But like he's like, okay, if last year or the year before was almost Owe, he's like 85% Owe at this point. Like that was like 60% Owe. Like he really is. He's close. He's really close to making those plays and man, just wrap. I don't know if I put it in the film review, but just wrap up. All you have to do in that third down situation, just wrap up, and you can get yourself another sack on the season. But defensively, I feel fine. There's, it's garbage time points to Alec's point. Alec's point. I was trying to do Alec plus S. Not
I'm
Alex
well aware.
plus
I
S.
used to live with an Alex.
So overall, I'm feeling fine about the defense. Not too worried. I think as time goes on, the bigger question to me for the defense will be how do they fare. To your point, Voss, with the second hardest remaining schedule left and a lot better quarterback play. You got Tua, you got Trevor, you got all those quarterbacks. So,
yeah, that's good, great points all around. I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm going to kind of piggyback on Alex stole my point a little bit. It was about interceptions. You get 2 picks in this game from Gino and Stevens. Stevens would have had the second if Gino didn't. Well, we'll get to that in the film review because that was a beautiful play Gino made. But 8 interceptions as a team is tied for 6th most in the NFL. And I think part of the Ravens' legacy, going back to Rod Woodson even before Ed Reed, was interceptions. So that's really the mark of a great defense. Looking forward because we're kind of at the halfway mark. I think Owe coming on, to your point, Yuri, is going to be paramount and huge. I think really the key is just keeping these guys fresh. You got Pierce. You don't want to put he led the D-line in snaps last week. He had a monster game, but you don't want to put too many miles on those legs. Clowney, he has injury history. And Matabike as well. You really don't want those D-line guys taking too many snaps. But I think they are number one defense in the entire league as far as limiting explosive plays. And I don't necessarily think they're going to finish number one at the end of the season with the tougher schedule coming up, but I think they should finish top 5. So I feel pretty strong about that overall.
Definitely.
So you want to go to the trade deadline. Ravens decided to stand pat, a topic of much debate, much consternation in the fan base. I'll go first just to give my 2 cents. I'm relieved that the Ravens did not make a move for a running back and did dodge a bullet there, I think, coming from a positional value standpoint. And marginal upgrades in most other positions, but Chase Young, that trade, that would have been a beneficial, worthwhile trade, in my view. Yuri, thoughts on the trade deadline?
Yeah, I thought that the Chase Young trade, they maybe should have sniffed around a little bit, see if they could beat the offer. Maybe they did. We don't know. Whatever. I thought that was worthwhile in exploring and just adding another defensive lineman that can slide from the outside of the edge and a little bit into the 3 and the 5. Give you a little more versatility to the defensive line. Maybe you beat it with another pick to toss in there, and then you get the comp pick back eventually. It's going to be decent. I'd be remiss to say that either you rent them or you can maybe extend them and just void a lot of the money out in order to keep some of the other guys that are potential free agents. So I thought that was a worthwhile trade. Rasul Douglas, not much, and the running back conversation. I do love me some positional value, but I also do love me some pass protection because the offense really wants to run 11 personnel with the running back in as a 6th man, and Justice Hill really doesn't. And Justice Hill and Gus Edwards are fine runners, no problem. But in terms of pass protection, Justice Hill, who they are kind of designating themselves as a third down back. He just isn't that great in pass protection. So I think Josh Jacobs that's a little too much. I wouldn't have done a second. I think most of the running backs I would have preferred just to do day 3 pick and kind of just my ideal running back was someone with another year left on the salary and the rookie contract, like a Javonte Williams, like a Joe Hubbard. One of those, I think that would have been the ideal situation. But I think the bell cow ones I wanted to kind of stay away from.
Let me just push back a second. How much is a half-season rental of an upgrade as your pass protection coming for running back really worth? Some of these day 2 picks is like but a half-season rental of an upgrade, of a marginal upgrade in pass protection from there's other ways to skin the cat, I think.
Well, when they're running, and we've seen it with Mike McDonald, when you value something in your system, like a linebacker, it becomes slightly more valuable than the other 31 teams think it is. So for the flip side, Mike McDonald will need his scheme will always have good linebackers, no matter what. No matter how long he's defensive coordinator, his scheme will have good linebackers. It's just how it is. So on the flip side, with Todd Monken, his scheme, and sure, he can scheme around it, but it seems like he's not going to. It seems like he will stick to the 11 personnel and keeping a running back in for the 6-man and the 6-man protection. And that player now becomes more valuable than just the average NFL running back being just a guy. So I wouldn't have minded the marginal upgrade, because I think that's important in his scheme. His scheme needs that running back who isn't a liability on. I mean, you can't put Ricard in on third down and have him play running back, because you're just almost showing your hand you're going to pass the football.
Empty backfield and line them up in line. There's other ways to skin the cat.
He's not doing it.
Let me just make this one point. I think when you start valuing players based on your scheme, not on the NFL's scheme or the other 32's team's valuation, that's how you end up overpaying for devalued positions. But I'm going to leave it there. Alec, please give us your thoughts on the trade deadline, an interesting deadline.
Yeah, no, so we discussed it on our show, and I let the other 2 guys go first. And I said, what would you give up for like a Henry, right? Because that was the big name. Josh Jacobs kind of came in a little later. And they said like they would both do a second. And I wanted to throw up. I was like, I'm willing to give you a 5th, but realistically, I'd rather do a pick swap. I was like, it's worth nothing to me. It's worth so little to me. Like I could not fathom spending a second on that. And I was so disappointed. I was disappointed. I was like, no way, man. 2nd round picks are way too valuable. But yeah, I think to me, I probably would have been like laughed off the phone on the trade deadline if I said like, yeah, for Derrick Henry, I'll offer you a 5th, and that's my highest offer. I think I'm being generous, but that's kind of where I'm at for a rental. And I will say the Chase Young trade, I have a buddy that's a San Francisco fan, and he was like, why do we do this? It's a bad trade. And I was like, no, it's a great trade. Like, I would have been all over that because you get the comp pick back. I will say, I bet you what we did is we offered them a 2025 third, because we're going to get so many comp picks in 2025. It's like out of control. And we're going to probably max out the formula, frankly. And
it's the same thing for them though, right? Unless people don't pay him because he has a knee injury. If he's bringing back a third as a compensatory, and we offered him a 2025 third, why would they do that? It's the same difference, right?
I mean, didn't they get a 2024 third? I thought that's what they got.
Right. Yeah. But I'm saying
gratification, man. You know how it is. Like apparently on draft day, like the next year you trade down a round, which is wild to me. Like that's why I don't do those kind of trades. I think the Ravens one was savvy in the 7th round because they got a guy that like dropped because of injury, not because of like just wanting to get another pick in there. I think that would have been silly, but because of who they picked, I was like willing to do it. But yeah, anyways, like I always find that interesting. Like, why would you discount next year's pick unless you're like really trying to go for it this year, which none of those teams usually are that are doing those trades. So yeah.
Well, all the jobs.
Every team acts like they're going for it, but they're not.
Jobs. Well, we don't want to get into the Bears. Let's trade for a player that we could sign cheaper and also get a worse and also get a worse draft in the interim. But anyway, I'm not upset. I think Calvin Oy can be considered a proxy trade deadline acquisition. I'm content with where the Ravens are. I do the Ravens news for Baltimore Beatdown every day just to kind of get the national perspective. And, all you see is they're a complete team. They had no glaring holes. They're the most complete team in the AFC. So I'm pretty happy with where they sit. And Yuri, unless you want to put a bow on this one, well, I don't think we got to your thoughts on the pass rushers, did we?
No,
Yuri.
I did. No, I said I would have liked Chase Young, but that was really it. I think we're okay there. I don't think we
Would
needed.
you have done Leonard Williams for a second and a fifth?
No.
See, I'm a little bit partial to interior pressure, but anyway, let's get into the film if you're ready.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm always on the wrong spot. So we're going to start with Yuri's All-22 film review, looking at the Week 8 win over the Cardinals. And our first play is an Aguilar inbreaker. Yuri?
Yeah, so I think the last 2 weeks, all of our plays have been Lamar Jackson throws on offense. Maybe the Keaton Mitchell one was the only non-Lamar Jackson throw, but Aguilar drops it. But I just wanted to highlight the throw like this. This is why, and we talk about it a lot. This is why you pay Lamar the big money, because the intermediate field, I don't think there's a better quarterback in the league that can throw a football in a tight window than Lamar Jackson over the middle of the field. I just don't think. I just don't think that that's really a thing. I think he really does. He's really able to be very creative as a passer over the middle of the field, and he's also very precise. And he throws this ball with a lot of velocity here. And of course, Aguilar, like the baby that was thrown out the window, he dropped it. So.
Alec?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm all about Lamar Jackson's ability to throw to every blade of the grass. I think it really upsets me when national media talks about him not being like he needs to improve as a passer. I'm like, he's literally one of the best passers in the league, and he happens to be like the most dynamic with his legs. You're clearly not watching the film, and it really grinds my gears because he makes throws like this that simply half the league can't do. Like they don't have the arm strength, like they don't have the vision. I think that's a really underrated part of his game too. Is he has a great vision to get through his reads and understand where he can go with the football. So,
yeah, Lamar, consistently, as Yuri said, one of the best passers in the middle of the field. It's pretty good that this was his worst game of the year, I think, because it wasn't fall off the map kind of Joe Flacco with his head down in the turf kind of game. So up to our second play here, and this is Lamar's only touchdown toss of the game, and it was a beauty.
Yeah, this was the Lamar Jackson karate kick.
Yep.
Touchdown toss, and it's just the connection that he and Andrews have once they get close to the goal line is really something special that it's something that can't be quantified. And sometimes, and I highlighted it during the game, sometimes Andrews being able to be free with his routes ruins some things, and sometimes it ends up being great. And obviously here it ends up being great. And Ronnie Stanley, he's I don't know where to land on him because he's playing when he played well versus Detroit, the offensive line looked great, and in this game, I think there's a couple blames to go around, but he certainly he's just
can't anchor.
He's not able to really plant really well on that foot and anchor, but it is what it is. Hopefully you can figure it out. But the highlight of the play is just is Lamar and Andrews here just making a nice throw. And I thought it was funny that Zay just ran into him like a torpedo. Like he really wanted that ball. I think Zay wanted a touchdown.
Yeah, definitely. Alec?
I do wonder if the route was run as anticipated, if Zay would have been open there. But by him street balling over, he kind of messed up that spacing. But it's one of those things that you have to. It comes with the territory. If you're going to have that be a part of the offense, you're understanding the trade-offs you're making. And I think, obviously it worked out great here and typically does in these kind of situations.
Yeah, Mark had a comment on, I think it was the lounge, as I go into the next one here, about how, just option routes and freelance routes and how Kelsey has freedom. And anyway, it was pretty interesting. Moving on to the next play, Rashad Bateman, who I think was their best playmaker in this game.
Yeah, this is I wouldn't say it's the Rashad Bateman breakout game, but this is like the Rashad Bateman come to Jesus game. Like, hey, we need to get this guy the ball and really scheme him open. Because I mean and and I've talked about it a little bit over the first couple of weeks. He didn't look really that healthy. He missed some time and during the offseason, during training camp, and those reps matter for a new offense. It really does. You got to in order to be early in the progressions in a new passing scheme, you need reps. And if the offensive coordinator can't trust you because you don't have the reps, they're not going to put you as the first or second read in the scheme. It doesn't make sense. So now times went on. He's got some practice time and he's gotten a lot of game reps. He looks healthy, and obviously here he kind of bails out Lamar. Also, I wanted to highlight, if you play it back again, Eric DeCosta is the gray suit on the sideline, and he's right next to the play, right there,
Right here,
and you can see him give a nice surge of energy when Bateman makes that catch. So, thought that was funny to highlight. So I thought that was fun to highlight, and it was, it was a great catch. It really was.
Excellent. Well, I will say, the drum beat has been getting louder and louder for Rashad Bateman. I remember when he got those 2 catches in 3 plays, I was not tweeting, but in our group chat saying, bait game, it's finally happening, because that's what I've been calling it. I'm like, there's going to be a bait game. There's going to be a game where he breaks out, and that's it. And I'll also just go back. I'm sure the receipts are somewhere on Twitter, but Huddled Up Films, Jason was saying to me all summer long, he's like, this is going to be like Hollywood Brown's rookie season for Bateman coming back into Liz Frank. Like, he's not going to be 100%. But he's going to ramp up over the course of the year. And I will say, man, the coaches have a lot of coach speak things they say. They say, football is a practice sport and stuff like that. And it's turning out maybe football is actually a practice sport. They're not actually lying. They need the reps.
They kind of agree, yeah.
Yeah, they might be actually good at their job. They might actually be some of the best on the planet at doing this, because, they all say it, and you're like, whatever. But it really does seem to be that way. You can definitely see the cohesion coming in. And Bateman, he's gonna. I'm still there. I think he's gonna be that dude. And I say, snag him in Dynasty while you can.
Alex, so what you're saying is the quote, maybe Garnett here. He'll, by the end of the season, he's the master of bait.
I mean, that sounds like a reasonable thing. This whole offense, man, you're looking at end of the year being what you're looking for, right? It's all about the postseason. It's all about the end. As long as they get the wins along the way that make the postseason, hopefully get some home field advantage, everything's about just improving the team. Otherwise, it's not about playing the best any given week.
100%. Very well said, Alec. So this was the longest play of the game for the Ravens. That the last clip we showed, and I really agree with Yuri. Bateman bailed out Lamar. He underthrew the corner out, and that should have been a touchdown. So anyway, just good to see Bateman build confidence.
Also on that play, Ronnie Stanley got blown right back again.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't even know if I'm picking up. I don't know if I'm retaining Ronnie at his cap number next year, but we'll see how the next couple of weeks.
I feel like
we'll see how the next couple of weeks. If you get rid of Ronnie and McCary, you have enough to pay a primo left tackle. But anyway, we'll talk. We'll have you back on for hopefully Ronnie picks it up. I hope Ronnie picks it up. So, but right now I'm not. I don't want to pay that kind of money for a guy that can't anchor. So. Anyway, Bateman, we'll circle back to him when we get to our prop bets of the week, because I'm also on the Bateman train. Next play is Marlon Humphrey, a player who we had a graph going around today showing he is among 80 percentile lockdown. Yuri?
Yeah, so I was actually highlighting Odafe Owe screaming here off the edge. A quick hand swipe. And then screams right after him, forces Dobbs to throw a pretty errant throw. There was a flag and was called for pass interference, but Odafe, he does look so amped up. He looks so close, and he looks healthy, and I think everything's good. And shout out to Chuck Smith, Coach Smith, who came in here and absolutely added his toolkit to go out there and make these moves. And we talked about it last week with Jason Huddle Up Films that he's got the spin move. Now he has the cross swipe. It's really starting to stack up on what he can do in terms of pass rush moves. And it already adds on. So I really do hope that he's gonna have one of those moments. He's gonna have his big game, big time moment, and he'll arrive on that play. I think that'll be my my takeaway from this play.
Alec, who's going to lead the Ravens in sacks in the second half of the season?
That's a hard question. I mean, I could definitely see it being Owe. It really comes down to health. The thing that I'm seeing with Owe is just like his biggest bugaboo is that he was like the worst at getting off the line. He all that speed was wasted because he couldn't get off the line fast enough. And now he is. Like, if you watch this, he might have been the first guy off the line. And
he was,
while this is just a single, he was. Like, while this is just a single play, not a large sample, this is becoming more and more consistent with him. And that's all he needs, because add that with his ridiculously freaky athleticism, he might be unstoppable for anybody. It's really going to come down to.
Looks like he's the first off the line.
Yeah, he was the first for this snap for sure. He needs to get enough snaps, though. That's the big thing. He needs to get enough snaps. He needs to be available, and that's been a little bit tricky for him the last couple of years. So hopefully he's able to stay healthy, and but I think he will be a real big contender for number 1 sacks.
He's got 18 pressures, I think, in 3 weeks of play. Week 1 and in the past 2 weeks. That's not the worst.
Yeah, he's playing good ball. He's a guy that you want to. Yuri and I are higher on him than most, but I think he's a cornerstone player potentially that you want to keep in the building long term. Next play up here is Matabike. More of a coverage sack, I thought, this time, Yuri.
Yeah, I thought it definitely was a coverage sack, but I also think that Matabike is we kind of before we thought that Matabike was a finesse guy, and he would beat guys with moves, but in this he out muscles the guard on the play. So I just touching back to what we said last week, he's here, he's arrived, he's broken out. These have been the best 3 games in a row, in my opinion, of his play so far in his career, and I just hope it keeps up, because interior pressure is really valuable in this NFL. And him and Michael Pierce are 2 very strong dudes up front. So,
no doubt.
Yeah, it's a killer combo. They are getting a lot of snaps. That is something to be on the lookout as the season progresses. We want to make sure they can keep up this level of play. I know there's been chitter chatter of getting Sue to eat up some snaps, and maybe a player like that would help. But he's playing out of his mind. He's literally just making millions of dollars each time he gets a sack. It's wild. He's playing. He's playing so well.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm really on the fence. I like a top heavy roster construction, and I want to see what Matabike does the second half of the year, but I wouldn't be necessarily opposed to paying up for him at the expense of less depth at other positions. So we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, definitely a good play there. And now we have what? I couldn't get through Yuri.
Huh?
I thought I had it, but I thought I was going to make it through, but I didn't. I've been practicing to get into the slides. Go ahead, Alec. I'm sorry. While we watch.
No, it's. I mean, the one thing I'll say is we never had that conversation. We talked about doing it in August, and I wasn't able to make it on. But man, the cap is this weird thing. It's a real thing in that there are some rules, but it's a credit card bill that literally never comes due. And if you're a billionaire and all you want to do is win Super Bowls, you could win basically as many Super Bowls as you want. I mean, obviously, there's
I don't think it's that extreme. I think it does come due, but if you have enough to pay it off all at once, and you can leverage the parity model of the NFL against itself, you can dominate the league. That's my theory.
I mean, I guess my only pushback is the thing that you lose flexibility of getting out of bad deals by continuing to like push things and push things and push things, but you just have to pay it eventually. Like it just comes down to like you as the owner
Saints
have to pay those.
The Saints,
yeah,
the Saints is going to be the final, case study in this. But what they've done is encouraged me to get a little bit more aggressive, and the Ravens are number 7 in the all-in index according to the Ringer this year, post trade deadline. So I think that's probably where you want to be. You don't want to be number 1. You don't want to be number 20 either. Number 7, number 5, number 10. That's about right. Yuri, let's break this one down for me, because I thought this was a beautiful play.
Yeah, Geno Stone, he was never the fastest, but he was always a smart and instinctual football player. And it shows you here he's up kind of in that star position, and he rotates back, sees the quarterback's eyes, and immediately sprints to the closest route combination, and just makes a really nice play on the ball. Kind of stole it from Stevens a little bit, but Stevens, maybe next time. I think Stevens kind of sat and waited. Stone was more involved on the route concept, and I think Stone deserved the pick there, in my opinion. So it was a good play.
Yeah. Yep. Alec, any thoughts on this one?
I mean, it's a beautiful play. I love seeing 2 players able to get a pick on a play. Very rare.
Yeah.
Very rare. It'd be nice if they were distribute it out a little bit better, and then you might get 3 picks. But hey, like this is like amazing though, because I thought Stone could be that dude. I was higher on Stone than most, I think, coming into the year. My whole philosophy was like you got to get him, Hamilton, and Williams on the field as like your default package, because I thought that was the best collection of players. But I wasn't this high on him. Like I don't think anyone was. He's like playing it like truly out of his mind. And you got Stevens, who like a lot of people were out on. I thought he had shown flashes, but he needed to put it all together, and he's doing it this year. I think arguably our best corner right now, and that's I think a high praise, since it's not that there's been bad players. We've had incredible depth there, and we were also worried, including myself, going into the year. And just the way it's turned out was like honestly the highest, best timeline. There's always variance to these plans, and I feel like we're swinging higher than probably anyone thought.
Yeah, I want to highlight, first of all, Pierce's penetration. Second of all, Geno's instincts. I think if you want to, you show a clip of a guy's speed, you show a clip of a guy's, tackling ability, physicality, whatever. This is a clip of his instincts. And I thought that was really, really strong play. It's almost reached a point of an embarrassment of riches in the secondary, which is so ironic, as you said, Alec, where we were coming into the season. I was rather, Yuri, we have this GC where it was like half Purple Patrol and half Legion of Doom guys coming into the season. And now like half of the guys have changed sides on both sides. So anyway, it's you got Williams coming back, Worley coming back, Mollett is playing out of his mind, and maybe the best, and you had neither Rock nor Darby had a play last week. Defensive snap. What do you do? I don't know. Anyway, it's a good place to be. That's damn sure.
Definitely. Arthur Mollett's, he might be my football sicko of the year. He's
top
just,
G?
Top G. Sorry. Top G. Maybe. I mean, of the year, that's big reward. He's just playing so well. He was better than Humphrey on that graph. He was better than Humphrey.
But did you see Marcus Williams using his left arm on hitting the bag, tackling the bag into the bag? Did you see that?
No, I didn't. I honestly didn't.
All right, man. Let's keep it rolling here. We got advanced scouting depth charts, Yuri.
Yeah. So the text is small, but I should have made that thing massive. No film this week on the other team. We did Seattle just a tiny bit last week because the Cardinals and the Seahawks played. But they got Geno Smith, they got Kenneth Walker, they got the big three wide receivers. They got a okay offensive line. It's not really that great, to be honest with you. I think their left side's their strongest. Stone Forsythe was cool. I think he was an interesting name that the Ravens could have drafted in 2021.
Yeah.
But I think an
Who was the
injury
guy he
happened.
took out? The guy he took out of Washington or Washington State was playing right tackle for them.
Yeah.
Lucas. Abraham Lucas, is that his name?
Yeah, Abraham Lucas. Yep.
What he's hurt, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
So when I look at this depth chart, I mean, this is a good-looking team until you get to this area here. So
Yeah.
I think that and the defense side of the ball is tough-looking too. But this is where the Ravens have an advantage, right here. Damian Lewis at LSU, Evan Brown, Phil Haynes is a plotter out of Oklahoma, and Stone Forsythe's another plotter out of Florida. I think that's where they attack. That's where they win and lose this game is right here.
Definitely.
Most definitely. I think the thing that's interesting about it is that they played decently against Cleveland's front. And Geno was able to escape and only got sacked once. So I think that was notable. That was a fun game to watch. I definitely got a lot out of it for both sides of the ball.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Looking on the defensive side of the ball, Yuri, who stands out here? I think it's
It's a team defense. I really think it's a team defense, to be honest with you.
I think they're gonna slow the Ravens offense down in the first half with this depth chart, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so they bring in Leonard Williams in the trade deadline. They pay a pretty nice price for him, and Seattle's always had a problem with interior pressure outside of like Michael Bennett, but interior pressure and interior like run stoppers. They've always had like a long-term problem there. So they get Draymond Jones in the offseason. Jerron Reed isn't the worst player in the NFL, I would say.
No, he's solid.
He's not
he's
the worst.
Yeah.
They brought him back, right? Didn't he go to Chicago last year and came back, right?
Boye Mafe is playing really, really well right now. They got Bobby Wagner back there. They got Witherspoon. They got Diggs. They got Woolen. It's a good unit, and I think it's a big test for the Ravens offense, to your point, boss. And they also brought back Frank Clark. You cannot forget that.
Alec?
This defense has a lot of good players, some great players, and at all levels. So I thought Jarron Reed was playing quite well. Obviously, they paid up for Leonard Williams. Boye Mafe had a breakout game against, not necessarily breakout, but he played exceptionally well against the Browns. And then, obviously, we know Bobby Wagner, that name all too well. Witherspoon was one of the best corners coming out of the draft. Woolen is playing great. Diggs and Jamal Adams, they play a lot of three safety looks. They also do a lot of, nickel looks as well. So very versatile secondary. They can do different looks at you. And it's a good unit. And I agree with you that slowing down the offense does seem very possible. However, like what I noticed is that you can get them with some explosives. I think that they're not quite as disciplined in that way. And that's kind of how the Browns are trying to survive against them.
Yeah, looking at this game, I think I believe this is the toughest test thus far on the Ravens schedule. Cincinnati and Cleveland and Pittsburgh are interdivisional foes, but I think Seattle's better than Detroit personally. So I don't know, maybe I'm a little biased. They draft a lot of the guys I like. They kind of draft the premium positions and they draft like the size, weight, height, speed. Yeah. Like that's just kind of
like they have McClendon as one of their guards.
So many of the guys I like their whole Daryl Taylor I liked out of Tennessee, like all these guys. I think again, I'll just come back to it. The advantage is attacking their offensive line. That's where the Ravens are better. Both these teams are pretty evenly matched. Besides, Lamar's better than Geno. Geno has 5 interceptions in his last 3 games, and the Ravens have a better offensive line. So I do think that it'll be interesting to see how they deploy their coverage guys. Witherspoon against Zay, I think Witherspoon could eliminate Zay. And then, how much Jamal Adams are we going to see on Mark Andrews? There's a lot of matchup So there, what matchups you're looking at? How do you think they're going to try to cover Andrews? Because he might be the key to this game, to be honest.
I mean, they got good linebackers. I think they might just be okay with not having to dedicate an Andrews eliminator. They might just say, we'll play our zone, we'll play our cover three, we'll play. They run a very basic defense. They don't. I was looking at earlier. They don't mix up coverages a lot. Like they don't like mix up and do stunts and blitzes and all that. They don't do that a lot. They kind of just play very straight up defense to you. So I don't think they're gonna do anything creative on that side of the ball. They're just gonna say, hey, we're gonna run this. We're gonna put our playmakers in the right spots, and go make us make a mistake on defense. So in terms of matchups, I agree with you. Witherspoon versus Zay is really gonna be exciting to see. I think that Justice Hill out of the backfield versus their linebackers, I think that could maybe be a matchup in the open field, that especially against Bobby Wagner, who has been playing well this year, but is just a tiny bit older. And then Boye Mafe against and Morgan Moses hasn't practiced in 2 days, so
and he didn't finish the game either.
So
and Harbaugh brushed it off, but I don't know if I buy that.
It could be a Makari game. Yeah. And it could be a Falele game, and a pure speed rusher like Mafe. I think that's a tough test. It's a tough test for a backup tackle. So we'll see what happens there. But those would be my matchups.
Might need a lot of 6-man chip blocking, huh, Yuri?
I hope so, and I hope you put a tight end instead of a running back.
Yeah,
Charlie. Shout out Charlie.
Yeah, shout out to Charlie. The thing that's interesting about this is, you got two teams in the NFC West, we'll play both of them, that are like, screw the quarterback. Now, I'm not saying that Brock Purdy and Geno Smith aren't good. I'm just saying they're like, we're going to build around not the greatest quarterback, but we're going to give him top flight assets all around him. I mean, these wide receivers are nuts. The running backs are good. Like, they spent 2 second-round picks, divas, going and getting 2 guys I liked in the draft. They're like, why not have 2? To have one is to have none. So they have 2 like great running backs. It'd be great to distribute the wealth, but no. And then they have these 3 wide receivers, and they got Bobo. So I got 4 wide receivers.
Yeah.
Fancy guy.
Big dynasty guy. Bobo.
Yeah. Bobo the dynasty boy. Yeah, exactly. Fant's a guy. I'm not too worried about Fant, but he obviously is athletic, and there's that. But this is like, it's a fun team to watch, right? And then you have their line that is a little bit interesting, and I agree that's kind of where you can win the game. Geno doesn't do as well with pressure. He definitely is. His effectiveness goes down. I think he's kind of in the golf pantheon of like getting rattled, and therefore like that's the number one way to kind of slow down their other options.
I think it is going to be a challenge to cover the receivers. They don't have a great, Marlowe, great corner, as we said, Yuri. Was that Summer Sports? Anyway, there's so many different charts and analytics now. It's a great time to be somebody that likes numbers and football and trying to evaluate. But Marlowe's, I think, was an 80th percentile least separation, right? Am I right on that?
Yeah. He was up there, but Arthur Mollett, he was 90.
Anyway, yeah. Well, no, they were both pretty close. I mean, Marlowe's has tougher assignments. Stevens wasn't quite there. I think Stevens might be their best matchup on DK, but you're not going to start, shadowing DK with Stevens. So anyway, it's going to be an interesting battle there. Again, I'll come back to the Ravens' defensive front, A-gap blitzes, mug it up. Get in those guard that whoever that center is, just rattle them. So Baltimore's laying 6, totals 44.5. I think it's going to be a defensive slugfest in the first half with maybe some fireworks in the second half. I'm taking the under. I'm taking the Ravens to win, but not to cover, 23-20.
Yeah, I'm going to go, and I haven't done this yet during the year, but I'm gonna take Seattle to
Reverse
win.
jinx. Reverse jinx.
I'm going to take Seattle to win 27-24. I just think that and there's been a whole lot of points to the Ravens being the best 6-2 team of all time by DVOA, and 50% of those teams went on to win the Super Bowl. Went on to make a Super Bowl. Sorry, it was like a couple of them won it, but I just think it's a tough game. You win 3 in a row. You come out of Arizona feeling okay, and you're not facing a defense that's a cupcake. You're facing a pretty good defense, in my opinion. I mean, they're not going to do anything crazy to you in terms of pressure, but they're going to line up. And I just think the biggest factor in this game is Rashad Bateman going to be a big factor in this game. I think that's the determining outcome in this one. And then I guess the second one would be Geno Smith. If Geno Smith does not throw an interception or throws a pick, I think they win.
You need 2. You need 2 picks in this game.
Yeah, it's a tough opponent. And I'd love to be wrong, because watching the Ravens lose is pretty frustrating. But I just think it's a hard game. It's a hard game. It's hard to win 4 games around the NFL. So.
Absolutely. Alex?
It's a premier home game to go to if you can, the first of 3. And I think you want to leave this stretch 2-1, right? So the hair, love that. You want to leave this stretch probably 2-1. I mean, obviously you like 3-0. I like winning always. But will the Ravens lose a game? Probably. Will it be on Sunday? No, not today. And the reason why is I think our stars shine brighter, and I definitely think we'll be able to get on them in some way. And I actually said in our show, I think this is the exact score. I need to go double check, but I think I said 31-17. It's going to be a little bit of a statement win. It's going to feel real good at the bank. And my rationale for why is I think this offense has a lot of great pieces, and they depend on explosive plays. We're one of the best defenses in limiting explosive plays, and if we can continue that, then their offense is going to struggle, and they're not going to be able to put up as many points. And I think that's the matchup right there. And then I think our offense will be a slow burn. We were frustrated with 31 points against Arizona, and if we're frustrated with 31 points, that shows how much potential there is in this offense. It's like ridiculous, and I think then you're able to get the win. So that's my thought on that.
Well said, Alec. Well said. When in doubt, take the home team with the better quarterback. That's my final thought on that. But we will do some props. And I like to Yuri's point about Bateman and about how he has to be the cherry on top in this game. Bateman to score a touchdown, anytime touchdown, plus 475 is my offensive prop. And I will go with Matabike plus 114. So bet 100, win 114 to extend his streak to 6 games with at least a half sack against a interior offensive line that I think is pretty vulnerable.
I'm going to follow you up, and I'm going to go ahead and go with Geno Smith to throw an interception. I think it happens. I'm going to hedge my bet. I'm going to hedge my bet of saying the Seahawks win with bets that are not maybe in that favor. So I'll go ahead and go with Geno Smith to throw an interception. And then the other one, I'm going to go and go with Gus Edwards, 2 touchdowns. I really am feeling that. I think that they get in the red zone like they did last week and just hand it off and pound. We'll see how good that run defense becomes with Leonard Williams in it, but over the first couple of weeks, it's not been the greatest. So I think Gus Edwards may find himself in the end zone again.
One of my favorite props of the year has been bet the over on Justice Hill's rushing yards. They're always comically low. Right now it's 20.5. He literally can get that in one run.
Where is that? What platform is that?
That's on DraftKings. It's been like 20. It's been in the realm of 20 to 30, and usually somewhere in the middle to low 20s for his rushing yards.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great.
I've been smashing it every week. It just like I don't understand. Like I thought Vegas is good at this. I feel like this is one of the biggest misses in their lines. Is like Justice Hill gets too many opportunities and is too explosive not to get those yards. So like barring injury, I feel like it's a smash bet. I like the anytime touchdown for him. Haven't checked what Odell's is in this game, but I feel like that's probably decent as well. Let's see what we looking at for Odell.
I've been pounding Odell. It just they're trying to force it to him too. The other one
Plus
I've been
275. It's not
pounding-
nearly as good as bait. Gotta take bait.
Yeah, the other one, and they don't have defensive props out yet, but probably on Saturday they will. Hamilton over on tackles, solo tackles. It's cashed like I think every week this season. So
I know you can't bet on it, but I was gonna say he's gonna get his second career interception in this game. I'm feeling it.
Hamilton. Hey,
cheese whiz going through my veins. I'm feeling it.
I mean, he has your support wearing his jersey, so a little extra good luck there.
Like I said last part, I've only bought 2 jerseys in my life, and he's the second one. I really he is a playmaker. I don't care what that guy on 105.7 has to say. He is a playmaker.
What a loser.
Yeah, forget that guy. Definitely a loser. I'll tell you guys a story about him off air in the Ravens press room at training camp one time. But anyway, before we go on to our final segment, the upset of the week, Yuri, do you want to give your Thursday night SGP of the week or
yeah.
Liking this. I put one in too, but yeah.
Last week we're gonna forget. We're gonna forget that Baker Mayfield last second Hail Mary I had. It will actually, if you caught the Hail Mary, it would have went over 300. But whatever. It was there. The players didn't execute. The bets were in place.
Players didn't execute. Love that.
Tonight I'm gonna go with George Pickens 60+ yards is plus money. Anytime you see him on prime time, he's gonna do something crazy. So I like that prop this week for your Thursday night parlays.
So what else am I doing in this parlay? Come on, man. We got a couple minutes left here.
I got a $10 par with the odds boost. Tennessee Titans +3. DeAndre Hopkins anytime scorer. Najee Harris under 47. DeAndre Hopkins over 55. $10 to win 153. I think I like that. No, that's a good little dart throw for $10.
Wait, can you rattle that off again real quick for somebody who might be interested?
Titans +3.
I heard that. Yeah.
Hopkins.
Oh, so you teased it. You teased it.
It's a 4-pick SGP.
Okay.
On Najee under 46 and Nuke Hopkins over 55. So he gets a touchdown, maybe he gets a long touchdown, and then you cash that in. But right. That's a game script dependent play that I think might have a little some legs on it.
Jason's saying a Levis rushing touchdown. I mean, that's.
I feel like I always lose them when I put in the touchdowns. That's where I always lose.
The first bet I ever placed on FanDuel was last Thanksgiving, and I thought that Josh Allen, if you do 2+ touchdowns, that means like throwing or passing, and I lucked out because he ran 2 touchdowns in on Thanksgiving. But never since then, I've been pretty unlucky with the rushing touchdowns.
I've back in the day before it was anyway, I used to do really good at first touchdowns. You used to take the third receiver on any team, and he would have long odds, and you'd hit 1 out of every 4, like on Monday Night Football, because they used to put it out for every game. Anyway, long story short, upset of the week. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, mine is just a mix of all you guys. Is I got under on Najee because I hate that guy. Over on Hopkins receiving yards, and over on Pickens for plus 500, but with the boost plus 750. Why not?
All right. Why not? LFG. Get that beer money. Upset of the week. Couple games I like. For the record, Yuri, 3 in a row I've hit, including Cincy over San Fran last week. Who else had that one? Not you. But
who did I have last week? I told you right.
Probably. I feel like you have the command. I probably have it written down. You have the Commanders every week. It's just like your upset of the week is always Sam Howell, no matter what.
Hold on, I'm thinking. Jason. Hopefully, Jason remembers it in the chat.
All right, let me give you mine while you.
Yeah, I just missed it, gang. By the way, I just missed it. Like literally, like right when it was like loading, and it was loading and it knocked me out. That's kind of frustrating.
It was too good. You should
have only taken mine.
All right, upset of the week. we have the Giants plus 1.5 at the Las Vegas Raiders. I guess they're counting on a new head coach bounce, but I'm doing plot twist here. I'll go with the Miami Fins, who was my team before the Ravens came back to Baltimore growing up, taking down the Chiefs in Germany. I like Fangio's ability to put a lid on Mahomes, and Jalen Ramsey's back, and I think Tyreek Hill revenge is going to get his revenge for overseas. So that's mine. We'll see if I can knock it to 4 already. What do you got?
Trying to think of the games this weekend. Who's plus money this weekend? Honestly, I haven't even looked at the schedule besides ours and the Germany game.
Bro, I'm not going to read you like the whole list, like the whole roster.
Okay. Give me two weak opponents. Wait, who do the Commanders play this week?
They're playing the Patriots. They're playing the Patriots, and the Commanders are favored, so it's a decent one.
No.
And the Commanders have no.
Oh wait, no, they're not favored. Sorry,
edge defenders anymore. All
no,
defenders are going to be day 2 picks.
Addition by subtraction.
All right, take the Commanders. Let Alec lead us out of here on a good note, since you don't have time to prep for upset of the week.
Yeah, there's no like particularly phenomenal one, but I'll go ahead and say that the Rams upset the Packers.
I like that one. Yeah, Rams are putting a little feather in the cap of those people that like to go all in this season. I'll say that.
And Packers,
anyway.
they don't look hot.
All right, let's get to this game. We got big stakes riding on this, Yuri. Get us out of here.
Which game? What are we talking about? This Thursday night game?
I'm saying let's wrap up the pod. Let Alex plug everything he's got and co-host responsibilities.
Okay.
Alex is trending. Alex is trending on Seahawks.
I know. That's what I was going to say, y'all. Yeah. Y'all, you gotta go find our Seattle preview. Maybe like it or leave a comment, because it's been completely infiltrated by Seahawks. We have like over 10x the normal amount of views. Like it is completely blown up in the algorithm, but it's all Seahawk fans. So like, go in there and leave a comment. Try to balance out the force, man. We're a Ravens podcast after all. One winning pod.
Alec, where can they find you? Just say it one more time.
Yeah, onewinningpod.com, One Pitting Pod on Twitter, Threads, etc. And see you there.
All right, we appreciate you very much for joining. Good to see you again. Always see you at the Ravens games. Always a good time to talk with you during the pre-games. And we appreciate you joining. Appreciate Jason in the comments, and we will see you guys next time.